We join the A9 briefly and pass the estate of Moy. This is the Highland home to the Game Fair every few years, the ancestral home of the Macintosh of Macintosh. In its heyday, the grouse moor was one of the best in the country, and King George V was a regular gun. We then exit to Culloden, for this high moorland above Inverness has a deadly story to tell. The third and final battle of the 45. The earlier two are discussed in the East of Scotland title, had been victorious for the Highlanders, but the Butcher Cumberland would exact a bloody revenge here at Culloden. The ongoing chapters of the Jacobite rebellions would finally be laid to rest, and the way of life in the Highlands would change forever. It was Wednesday the 16th of April 1746 when the last battle fought on the British mainland was enacted here at Culloden. A heavy shower was the prelude to the battle, which was the first ominous sign for the Jacobites. The government troops had modern cartridges, which were both quicker to fire and easier to keep dry, whilst the Highlanders' muskets and powder horns were slower and more susceptible to the damp. The Highlanders were also tired after a forced march, hungry, outnumbered and outgunned. However, the day cleared, and a little after 1 o'clock, the cannons and cannonades of Cumberland's troops showered down on the Jacobites, who, with no orders to charge, simply stood and took heavy losses for some 20 to 30 minutes. Cumberland's cannonade was to have a decisive effect on the battle, whilst the Jacobites' reply fire was ill-served and ill-pointed, the variable calibres of the guns adding to the confusion. When the charge did come, the Highlanders were shot down like driven deer. The wind was behind the government line, and the steady fire created a cloud, blinding the charge. Only about 500 men penetrated the line, who were quickly dispatched by further government troops, and few, if any, survived. The battle was over in less than an hour. The Jacobites lost some 1,200 men of the 5,000 in the field, whilst the government lost only 300 of its 9,000 regular soldiers present. Of the total 14,000 men gathered at Culloden, fewer than 3,000 fought. The prince was splattered with mud from the barrage, and his groom was decapitated. The prince fled the field unscathed, and, as told on the West Highlands and Mull title, eventually escaped to France, departing from these shores just a few yards from his point of arrival some 18 months earlier. The wounded were brutally killed, as were some bystanders, including women, in the worst series of atrocities ever carried out by the British Army. The battle was not a latter-day Flodden, which was an English-Scots conflict. Of the government's 15 regiments, 3 were Scottish, plus Lord Loudon's and the Argyll militia. Some estimate that there were more Scots on the government's side than the prince's. Also, the atrocities after the battle were carried out under the direct orders of 3 Lowland Scots, Major Lockhart, Captain Scott, and a naval officer, Ferguson. The victorious Duke of Cumberland, Prince William, a younger son of the king, weighed nearly 18 stone, and mounted on a powerful grey horse, was a conspicuous figure that day, and this was to be his finest hour. Culloden was his only victory, and the price he paid for it was the unenviable title, the Butcher. Handel composed See the Conquering Hero Comes to welcome him back to London, and the flower, Sweet William, was named after him. However, the flower to this day is known as Stinking Willie, north of the border. At West Hill, high on the hill near to the Culloden battlefield, you will find the Candles at Copperfield restaurant. Here, carefully chosen ingredients are freshly prepared into superb meals, with a comprehensive wine list in a relaxed and comfortable dining room that has spectacular views over the Moray Firth. Booking is recommended for this popular restaurant with an outstanding reputation. They also cater sympathetically for disabled diners. A 6-room guest house is attached, where you may book in on a bed and breakfast basis separately to the restaurant. We return to the moor, and nearby is Clava Cairns, dating from around 2000 BC. This circular burial chamber is surrounded by standing stones. The cairns are among the most outstanding prehistoric monuments in the country.